Good evening, Felice.
Good evening, Mia. I'm on the road.
Okie dokie. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Jeff, good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, Yvonne.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Hi, Ethan. Hi, Pascal. Hi, Andrew.
Doing well. How's everyone doing?
Hi, Timothy. Who's the poet? And I didn't know
Hello?
Good evening, Mr. Rosenberger.
Hey, how are you?
Hello, Vertina Brown is here.
Good evening, Ms. Brown.
Timothy Brown is here.
Welcome. Good evening.
How are you doing, folks? Some of you are muted. I saw some people respond, but they're on mute. Timothy.
Mhm.
Hey, Lorianne. Welcome.
Hello.
All right, glad we're here. A couple of folks are still missing, but going pretty well so far. I'm not seeing Stanley yet. Not seeing Callista yet. Not seeing Jeffrey.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yep. Elise?
Good evening.
Good evening. waiting on a couple of folks to filter. They might not have been here. You might not have been here yet. Well, we're gonna start in a second.
Okay.
Hey, Ethan, Callista will not be joining us this evening.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. So everyone else is here. I mean, I'm not seeing Stanley, but everyone else generally. I mean, we have quorum for sure. So this
Yeah.
can be a good committee session. Thanks for that, Mia. Appreciate it. All right, so we can basically get started. With everyone to October meeting for the committee implementation. The first thing on the agenda today. Oh, Dara's here. Welcome, Tara. Good to see you. Yeah, the first thing on today's agenda is, of course, the welcoming reading, but the first thing on the agenda is the street co-naming request for the Empire Boulevard and Washington Avenue renaming or co-naming request.
Yes,
Do we have any representatives for that request here right now?
that would be me.
Okay. And
And me as well, Timothy Brown.
good, great. Love it. So I would just like you to, maybe have the floor for a bit and kind of go through what you'd like to do with the co-naming request, what it would entail, and just give an idea of why you'd like it to, be done.
Okay, yes. Okay, so I came up with this proposal for the street renaming in honor of my daughter Tiara Shanice Poyo, who was murdered at the 2016 Juray pre-Labor Day parade in Brooklyn. Tiara was a St. John's University student. She was my only child. She did a lot with her life, and she deserves this street renaming. I worked with a lot of the government officials to change Juray to make it safe, and because of those changes, no one else has died at this parade since 2016 when my daughter was murdered. So in a sense, Tiara has saved lives. And besides that, I did a PSA with the mayor's office. That's in a cycle, it runs every year, to encourage people to not to go out and do violence, but to actually go out and have fun and enjoy the celebration, the cultures of Juray. Also, I would like to talk about the Tiara Poyo Act. I did this after the court hearing that took place when my daughter was murdered. Her murderer got criminal negligence homicide as a verdict, and it was unjust. Even the judge knew this, everybody knew this, but so I came up with the Tiara Poyo Act to make changes to present the jurors with basic explanation of criminal charges. You basically break it down to layman's terms and present it to them so that they can have a better understanding, because I noticed that at the trial, they kept asking for the charges to be read back to them over and over and over again, as if they did not understand. And everybody was infuriated. So they made the wrong decision. So, like I said, I made a Senate bill called the Tiara Poyo Act. It is in cycle again. It's stuck in assembly right now as we speak. I've done a lot of things in honor of Tiara. That includes gun violence walks, events. I've been working with Woodhull Hospital in Brooklyn to do back to school gun violence preventions for the past 3 years running, and it's been very successful. We've given out over 1,800 book bags and school supplies, as well as other things, you know, to the kids of Best Eye. So in a sense, you know, we've done a lot of good in Tiara's name. So I really feel that Tiara is well deserving of the street renaming. I mean, it's the least that, you know, the city could do for her, I feel. It's hard for me. You know, Tiara was my only child, and things are just not the same, you know? But I hope you guys understand the proposal that I sent you and agree to the terms. I would like to change Empire Boulevard, where she was murdered, Empire and Washington Avenue, that corner, to Tiara Poyer Way. I'm sorry if I'm taking up too much time.
It's okay. No, you're not.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so does anyone have any initial thoughts or questions that they would like to bring to the floor?
I'm sorry, repeat that again.
Does anyone have any initial thoughts or questions they'd like to bring to the floor based on what
Oh.
was just presented? Okay, seems not. Oh, Sarah, yeah, you have the floor, go.
Hi, I know the area near where that happened. I live very close by. And I also know that there's a park over there that it's changed recently. And I don't know. I was just, you know, I saw the proposal, was thinking about it, talking with Nicola and others too, and thinking that something in that park over there where they've they concreted it over. It used to be like just a small triangle, and now it's bigger. I don't know if you know that area, but I think that might be a good place too to do something for your daughter. You know what I mean? Like maybe a plaque statue too for her, because that's, you know, just I'm sorry, you know, but just that's an area where you maybe could have something where you could go and sit there and, you know, we could sit and think about her.
That would be wonderful. That would be really wonderful.
So think about that spot, and, you know, I'll go over and meet you and visit it if you like sometime.
Mhm.
Are you referring
That would
to
be
the spot where Franklin Avenue used to meet Washington, I think?
Yeah, it's right on Washington and Empire, right? You know, there was a park there, and then they kind of ripped it up, and now it's there's a lot of concrete and bikes. I was over there today, like taking
Is it
pictures,
Is
thinking
it
about
next to Western Beach? I think I know what you mean. I think I've been there.
yeah, it's pretty bigger now. Like they took away a street, so it's bigger, and it seems like
Yeah.
that park should have a higher purpose. You know, and I do know that somebody said that it was one time a section of that when it was smaller was before the street was taken out was dedicated to a veteran, but the plaque is gone. I went over there and checked today. I mean, I was just thinking about, you know, the whole thing, and I walked by there, so I went over there and I took some pictures and sent to other people on the committee. I just wanted to let you know we're thinking about you. You know,
Thank you so much.
I think that's a
great
wonderful idea.
One
She's
second, hold on,
talking
Maxine.
about,
1 second. Let me just, Tara, let me just lower your hand for a second, Tara, and so you can move forward a little
I
bit.
don't know what's going
Yeah,
on right
Maxine, you
now.
Uh-oh.
So,
Uh-oh.
Okay, can you hear me?
yeah, we can hear you, Maxine. You have the floor. Go ahead.
I'm gonna turn off this video because I don't know what's going on here. I think
Yeah.
that's a wonderful idea, Tara. She's talking about the triangle right outside of Western Beef that they have just recently cemented and put a few trees. That would be a wonderful space, a peace-spaced, reflective space to think about your daughter, something positive and peaceful. Does everyone know what we're talking about, right outside of Western Beef? Because they've cemented
I
it.
know that they was doing a lot of construction over that area. Over the past few years, actually, they was doing a lot of construction over that area. Every time I would go there, you know why.
Yeah,
But,
yeah, yeah. Well, I think they're finished. It looks a hot mess. Maybe we could put some flame to the fire and make it look really nice and a reflective park, if you will, to think and to stop the violence in the name of your daughter.
Mm,
Tara, that's a
Mm.
beautiful idea.
it is. That's an amazing idea. That's amazing. I would love that.
Jeff, you have the floor. Go ahead.
Who?
I was saying Jeff has the floor. You may go ahead.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Ethan. Yeah, we have, we reviewed the proposal, and some of us actually had a conversation about what Tara just proposed. I did a little research and found out I live on Sterling Street, right around the corner from the location. And that construction is 99% completed now. And it's a plaza now. It's a very large plaza that was formerly a triangle that was named for a veteran who lived on Sterling Street, right? His name was Russell Ramsey, right? The Ramsey family, as I have been informed today, they were and may still be residents of Sterling Street. There used to be a plaque before the construction started. It appears that it may have been removed or it fell victim to the construction. I imagine there should be records in the community board office that can shed some light on when the area was dedicated for this veteran. But regardless of the history, I think that the idea of using that space to honor your daughter and anyone else, if it's an area that we're going to designate as a peace zone, would be a more fitting way to remember your daughter. It's really a beautiful space. And if you haven't visited it since the construction was completed, you should go and take a look, and I think you would see what we mean. It certainly would bring, in my opinion, a more sense of significance than a street sign that wouldn't be acknowledged by as many people as this area that would have a plaque, that would have something at eye level rather than up at the level of a street sign.
Well, perhaps we can do both. And this way it will probably help a lot of people to find this area as well, being that her name will be there for the street signing, You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
All right, feel free to go ahead. Yeah, I got the floor.
You said Valerie?
Yep, that's you, Valerie. You have the
Okay,
floor. You can proceed.
right, because I wasn't sure, because it wasn't clear. I was thinking also during the conversation that there could be like benches there that we could put out. Maybe could be some lighting or something that would memorialize that space so that when people are walking by at eye level, as Jeff said, that it would be, a great peaceful area. So I was thinking, I don't know if there could be a dedication of benches where you could sit there, so because you said as a mom, you go by there and this way you can like sit at that location, at that space. You could bring family members there. Because I know that as a person, when I'm walking down the street and I see a name on the signs on some of in the areas, I really don't know who that person really is, even though the
Mhm.
name is up there. Every now and then I do take time out to Google that person's name, but
Mhm.
I'm thinking that when you're walking by and you actually see this special place, I don't know if there's a person that does memorial designs that can make something that would really stand out and be significant. And I just think that the benches in that particular area, and to make it like a peaceful area. And I like the way Jeff said a peace zone, that would be really a great addition to our area.
It
Thank
would.
you.
I agree. It all sounds beautiful, and I mean, I would love that. I mean, to go there and sit there on those benches, as opposed to always going to where she was murdered at and sitting there with my walker. It would just be a lot more meaningful. And especially to see that the city has not forgotten her, you know. It would be a great memorial. It's a brilliant idea. Tara? All of you. I'm so glad you guys have been conversating and thinking about how to make things better and more memorable. You know, that too can help actually bring an end to gun violence, hopefully. Especially in this particular area where the gun violence is high, because every year when they do the Juve Labor Day parade, you know, yes, I made a lot of changes to this parade. I made it that they do it in daylight. I made it that they have police checkpoints. I asked for more policing. I've asked for a lot of different things. A lot. I had a whole list, 2 pages. And because of those changes, like I said, no one else has died at the parade, but around the parade, the other blocks and stuff, there have been other shootings. You know, and that we cannot help because of, you know, like I said, the majority of the parade and everything, you know, there's policing there to make sure that this parade is safe since my daughter's passing. It's a great idea. How do we go about doing it?
I'm not sure. Honestly, I'm not
We can
sure.
get to that pretty soon. But we have Benny here with his hand up. Let me just let him get the floor for a second and we can probably proceed. Benny, feel free.
Okay.
Continue.
No, all nice ideas. I'm very sorry about your daughter. But I was just wondering, yeah, I don't think I got an email with an agenda for today's meeting. I was just wondering if it's possible you to send it to me.
Me?
I can resend it now.
All right, thank you.
Oh,
Is that everything, Benny?
Yeah, that's it for now.
Okay, thank you. Any more thoughts or comments from anyone else here?
Yes, I would like to say something.
1 second, Timothy. Benny,
Mhm.
did you plan to have another comment or an extended comment after getting the agenda
No.
email?
No, I'm
Or-
trying to lower my. Oh, I got this thing now.
Rocco, yeah, feel free. You can go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to also express my condolences and second what everyone's saying. It really is a beautiful idea. Just logistically, I guess I would ask maybe Ethan, maybe you know, or Mia, but I think the naming of like plazas or adding benches like that might have a lot of more requirements, or maybe be out of the purview of our committee. So I think it's something to pursue, but I would would not want to, if that takes months or years or however long to do, I would not want to miss the opportunity to also recognize her now. So I really like the idea of kind of doing both. I think I know it is within our committee's jurisdiction to make resolutions and support street namings. So I feel like, to me, that feels like a very easy first step and a proper first step. Then whatever the other things needed, we could make a resolution supporting that. It may just not be within our control.
I think Mia might have the answer here more than likely.
Yeah, I think Paco is right. I think the plaza renaming may be a multi-layered process that may be a bit more extensive than securing the street co-naming, which would be done within the calendar year of the current council. So yeah, I think it's more sensible if we just want to get this on record and get the street co-naming in place. That may be helpful in securing the plaza, the justification for the plaza renaming moving forward. Sorry, that's my dog.
I have to.
It seems like a lot of the consensus here is that a lot of the folks in here think that having a plaza would be a lot more either significant or appropriate than a street co-naming. That's what I've been noticing here, because a street co-naming might, to an extent, go unnoticed, and as people Google the event and learn about it, it might perhaps even, promote the idea that of unsafety in the area, whereas a plaque or like a plaza gives, it's a bit more of a peaceful space, and it has a more of a, like, I guess, slow kind of an one-to-one, more easily noticed effect. But generally, we can do both, regardless. We could do both. It just comes down to, I think, what people would appreciate more, and that's what we're here to understand. Tara, you got your hand up. Feel free. You have the floor.
Hi, I'm thinking that we should move forward with maybe both of the ideas, and for us to kind of think out of the box in what we do as we memorialize the many, many, many individuals that pass in our particular community, so that we can expand it and expand our vision and think out of the box. So if it does take 2 years, at least we can say that the members of the Transportation Committee at Community Board 9 did something just a little different, just a little more experimental. Yeah, you might have to check with this person, that person, but has anyone checked to see why the name hasn't been put back for that veteran at that spot? And it's in our community. So, what are we doing here? So I'm just saying that while the street naming will be cool, and then I think that would give us the instant recognition of this young lady's life, but for us to continue and not just say, oh, well, it might not happen this year, but maybe take steps to investigate what it takes, so that when we have our next meeting, we could see what's involved in it. Because while it might take, might be multi-layered, agencies, we can take the first steps to see if it could be realistic, because this could be something like an easy lift versus something more than we thought it was going to be. So that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm on board. You guys let me know what you need for that. And yes, I believe we should re-add his name, the vet who was there, and as well as many other people, as many as we can, in honor of people who have perished due to gun violence or any type of violence, whatever. Let me know if I can help in any way. I have a lot of connections. I know a lot of government officials. They come to my events all the time. Please let me know in any way I can help.
Thank you. Jeff, you have the floor. Go ahead, proceed.
Yeah, so I want to acknowledge that I don't have the answers to some of these questions in terms of what other committee and what other steps the community board has to take in order for the plaza to be renamed or dedicated for this purpose. And the other thing I'm not certain of, maybe someone on this call knows the answer to this question, is has there been a precedent set with regard to the basis for street co-namings? Because if there already is like a criteria that is in place and we're not acknowledging it, then what this committee passes up to the board for approval might not go anywhere. For example, if the criteria is that eligibility is based on X, Y, or Z, and this doesn't meet it, then it's not going to go anywhere. Whereas if we take a broader approach and we try and get the plaza dedicated for this purpose through the right channels, I think we have a better chance of success, right? But we definitely need to do our homework before we just do what we usually do. We usually take a vote and then we pass it up. So I think we might need to kind of pump our brakes a little bit, do a little deeper dive, make sure that we're proceeding down the right road so that this isn't something that just gets forgotten.
Elise, you got the floor.
We can also to go to the Parks Department of the committee and see how we can facilitate this. Because the plaza sounds very nice to me. Okay, I'm very, very sorry for the loss of your daughter. I am.
Thank you.
I would rather see that you have pleasantries and great memories through the plaza. And you'll be starting something great. Besides the name that we need to bring back that was mistakenly removed, we can solidify something there. And by having your daughter there, you know, that would help that a great deal, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
I agree. Thank you. All I can really say to you guys' comments is that just go over the proposal that I've submitted. I've submitted letters if you guys need them, as well as the signatures and all of that. That was the requirements. If you need anything else, please let me know. I'm all for it. I really want to get this done and bring peace.
I agree. I also do. I'm sure the whole committee wants to also bring some peace here and memorialize, your daughter. And essentially just, can you hear that? Yeah, and bring some more peace to the area. Tara, you have the floor. Yep, Tara, you have the floor.
Oh, okay. Oh, I thought you said Valerie. I just, I keep an eye on that park because I walk by there almost every day with my dog, and I always wonder what's going on. And I know Nicola Almovidor, I think his last name is, he's on the Parks Committee, and I've brought that park to their attention several times, and it's a bit confusing, just, if we prepare to do something there, as to whether that's actually belongs to Parks or DOT. So Nicola indicated that it was DOT, and I sent him an email today to find out, what exactly, because he has researched it. So in the past, just because of concerns with, what's happening there, there's a lot of things that need to change there to make it into a green space. There's numerous things that could happen there, and we could use that, use this opportunity to make that a beautiful space. It's pretty much all just too much concrete there right now. So this has been discussed in Parks, and I guess my point is it would be good for us to really know the agency that is in control of that space, so we can use that to, facilitate making contacts and outreach and putting whatever it is that we can there for your daughter, Poet. Yes, that's what I'd like to help with. So just if anybody knows, I'm gonna do my best to research it in an ongoing
Thank
way.
you. Thank you.
I'll put
I,
this
I
in
I
this
love the
week's
fact
stuff
that
to
you're
potentially help
moving
there too.
already.
Okay.
Mia, go ahead.
Hey, thanks, Ethan. Very quickly, I'm not sure if the committee would just like the district office between Dante and myself to do a bit fact finding between this meeting and the next to obtain the steps and figure out what the timeline is to secure the renaming of the plaza and bring it back to the November meeting for a vote.
I
So
think
that
that-
Can you
so
find
that-
out about benches and things like that, like
Miss-
gardening, like anything that we could do there, like how
Yeah,
we
definitely.
could,
But
right.
making the naming initially the priority and getting real timelines so that the committee could weigh the options with full information and then move forward at the November meeting with the vote.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan.
Okay, thank you, Mia.
Okay. And I mean, that is a general gist of what these meetings are about. I think this agenda item was mainly for us to bring it up and get a course of action set so we can not only figure out the most effective way to memorialize this, but also have some action items started where we can get some progress here. And I think we've all potentially found some. So I believe in the November meeting, we will likely have a vote on and some information around renaming the plaza or adding some memorial items to that area and bring that to a vote. So, anyone else have any more comments or thoughts that they'd like to have heard on this item yet? At this point,
Will it be a vote on the street renaming first? Or is that going to be added to the November meeting?
I think we'll add that to the November meeting because we would usually get all of the information in one place before we make a decision on it.
Okay.
Yes, Ms. Brown, the district office will be in contact with you just in case you need additional information. And as we work with the DOT, just in case they need to get in touch with you directly and the respective council member's office so that we can all be on one accord moving forward.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you all.
Thank you, Ms. Brown, for coming.
Mhm.
So that's going to be in our November meeting. We're going to most likely have a vote on that. And so far, this is some good development because now we have some clarity. We have action items set for next time. And we'll continue these discussions and we're going to have an outcome from this for sure in the near future.
Okay.
All right. Does anyone have any other final comments or thoughts that they want to bring up?
Yes, I'd like to thank all of y'all. This is Tiara, Uncle Timothy. I would like to thank all of y'all. God bless y'all, and hopefully, we come up with a a positive note here. And thank you so much.
You're very welcome. All right, so it's 7:40. We dedicated about half an hour to this item. We should ideally move forward to our next agenda item at this point in the meeting, which would be a quick review of our previous meeting and decisions that were made in that one. In this section, there were two main decisions made. The first one was a motion that we passed to have DOT explain the reasoning behind approving the car share locations within CB9, as well as submitting a map of locations to CB9 and getting DOT to encourage and require these organizations to engage in outreach to CB9. Together, we did note that the outreach section of the approval process was pretty often kind of skipped over. We didn't get much of that. So we did pass a motion to have that happen. It's mainly an information request. And we're working with the district office to get that acted upon as soon as possible. The second decision that was made was we did pass a motion to have the full board recommend that DOT keep the current southbound to B49 route unchanged on Bedford Avenue as it advances the Brooklyn bus redesign. This will go to the full board and they'll vote in the meeting in November. I mean, in October, most likely. So, Mia, this is a good question. Do we have any progress on the first one with DOT? Are you aware of anything? If not, it's fine. Just wanted to quickly make a quick ask.
I'm sorry, I'm not clear in all that you said.
Okay. I was saying that the first motion we had passed was to get DOT to explain sort of the reasoning behind approving our current car share locations in the district, as well as submitting a map and getting them to encourage and just continually, require CSOs to engage in outreach to this committee and to the board in general. It is on their side as a part of the approval process, and we haven't, from what I've understood, we haven't seen much outreach as of yet. So it is, it is important for us to have that, enforced. 1 second. By DOT. Benny, you have your hand raised. You have the floor.
Yeah, I thought I remember hearing that we might have somebody from NYPD on this meeting to try to explain why there's so many. I mentioned last meeting that there's bicycles, e-bikes driving both ways on one-way streets, on sidewalks, and maybe talk to them about stopping that. So it's dangerous for pedestrians, or even it's dangerous for the bikers themselves as they whiz in and out of traffic. So anything happened with that?
My mistake, Benny. Can you repeat that?
Sure. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right. So last meeting, I brought up the issue of how there's e-bikes and delivery bikes zipping in and out of traffic, and also on sidewalks and going the wrong way against, in one-way streets. And I think that there was some discussion of perhaps we'd have somebody from NYPD discuss what can be done to stop that, because it's dangerous for everybody involved.
In November, we're going to get to that for sure. We had to postpone that a little bit. We could have gotten them this month, but we postponed this in November because there isn't anything actionable right now, mainly because a lot of these e-bikes do not use license plates. There aren't many methods to get these bikes attached to any sort of law enforcement actions. We can't, from what I've understood, there aren't many methods out there right now to ticket them and stuff like that when they're zipping through traffic. We'd have to probably manually go up to them and do that, and that's not scalable, especially when we have people in every apartment building ordering food and stuff like that daily. It tends to get a little bit difficult. There was a push to have instant grocery businesses no longer use the term instant, um, or sub 30 minutes in their marketing, because it encourages extremely fast transit when you're on an e-bike. And that was one of the efforts that was done at the city level to clamp down on this. But it is still behavior, and a lot of e-bikes do not have plates that we can use to necessarily get enforcement based around. We are going to invite some NYPD officials or some law enforcement officials on our next November meeting, but it's not going to be an easily fixable problem.
No, I understand. I just think that, once, if they start doing some manual, crackdowns, a lot of it will stop, because, right now, they think it's a free for all. There's no, nobody's stopping them.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, it is kind of a free for all right now, and there are going to be some actions to stop that. It wasn't included in this meeting because we are trying to avoid carrying these to 10 or 11 p.m. And this is it's high up on the agenda for the next one. So it also, I want to just note, Felice is going to be taking part in that as well. If she would like to respond, she can, but Felice also feels similarly to you on that issue, and she has contacts that we're going to bring in the next meeting.
All right, fair enough.
All right.
You want me to
So-
Sorry, I'm in the car. I spoke to the chairman and said that the next meeting, which was November, he would prefer to have Sergeant Beretta to attend that meeting to address any and all issues.
That's all good. It's great as well.
So this meeting, are you talking about the meeting at the school for the community council meeting, or are you talking about next meeting for the transportation committee, Felice?
Okay, so Tara, I'm glad you
Yeah.
brought that up. October 19th is the general meeting for the 71st Precinct Community Council. So anyone can come there to ask questions pertaining to this, okay? And for November, we'll have Sergeant Beretta there as well. But if you want a quicker response, please come to the meeting October 19th, which is a Thursday.
Okay, thank you.
It starts at 7:30. Thank you, Tara.
All right. Since there are some concerns here, I think it would be good to have that email go out to the committee, since you might definitely want some other people in this committee to attend that. I'm sure, Mia, thanks for noticing. You could definitely help there. Appreciate it.
Let me just add, the meeting is located at what is it? MC, it's at PS 60 400 Empire Boulevard. Yes, PM 60 400 Empire Boulevard. Across the street from the 71st Precinct.
Okay, great. All right, so now we're going to be going into our unfinished business section of this meeting. The first item we have on the agenda is car share. As of the last meeting, we've heard quite a bit of concerns around car share spots, occupying previously public parking and reserving it. And there was a discussion around, suitability of locations and necessarily the balance between, being a convenient good for those who live in the area and inconveniencing people who live here. And as we discussed inside the last meeting, we wanted to essentially focus a bit on the suitability of those locations and discuss potentially even using nearby alternatives for some of these car share locations. So removal is generally not going to be a huge option as far as I've understood, but relocation would be, more suitable for what's been happening. So what I intend to do in this section is I intend to show the committee a map of locations in the district. And before I do that, I'd like to see if anyone has any particular spots that they find either unacceptable or specifically inconvenient. If you have any ideas of those, please bring them up. Now I see you, Tara. If anyone has any ideas around those, please raise your hand and we'll go in order. But you have the floor, Tara. Feel free to go ahead.
I find the spots on Sullivan between Ludlam and Stoddard to be unacceptable. They said that they'd move them during our block party. They did not. They do not move for alternate side. They're oftentimes open. It's causing a great deal of distress for my neighbors, people that need parking in the neighborhood that, are working people, disabled people, people that need those spots. And they're taking really what amounts to 4 spots. I think they could have 1 spot here, one, that's all they need. They could give up those other.
No spots here.
Okay, no spots here. And they could move them to, I want them moved, they could be on Bedford, there's plenty of room there. There's more room there's a lot of spots on Empire, and there's different places on Rogers. So we don't need them here. And I feel like we are under a great deal of pressure in this neighborhood because of all the extra development surrounding us. So we've got so many people from so much housing that's coming, that's already here, people working in the area, that we really need those spots. And the amount of money that the city is getting paid is really spectacularly low for what they're getting in return. And it feels like a giant scam to me by these corporations. Uber, Lyft, they are taking over the city with these private businesses taking over spots. I think LaShawn brought that up last time. It's shocking, so I would like those spots moved from my street, my
Okay.
neighbors.
So I have the map ready. So before I continue, what I want to do here is I want to have a pretty structured discussion where.
Can I say one
have-
more thing quickly? The other
Yes,
thing
you
is they're not moving for alternate side. And right now with the flooding and with the leaves, and when they don't move, it creates a whole area that isn't swept. And this increases flooding and trash in our neighborhood. They're not maintaining the spots. They're not moving when they should. So it's creating this whole other problem that's gonna grow bigger, for us. So
One second.
I want to make sure that's in there. Thank you.
It's definitely in there. So for this item, I'd like us to potentially limit discussions to about 2 to 3 minutes. I'll have a timer on screen so that we can see how much time we have left, so we don't go over time too much, because I want to have a few things tackled in this section. I'm going to have a map up so that we know where they are and by brand, whose locations are located in which parts of the district. And this is not a map that DOT sent me. This is a map that I made myself based on the DOT's tabulated information of where these spots are. So it's based on DOT's information, but the map itself, I prepared for this meeting so we can all get this done quickly instead of waiting, 2 to 3 months on DOT to do it. Now, to add to that, here, some of the things that people are complaining about, which I definitely understand, are part of the intention with car share. For example, car share these spots are not swept in the city's street cleaning. These spots are set to be swept or cleaned by the brand's own timing, and it's required so far for the brand's timing to coincide or at least match the frequency of the city's street cleaning. So if the car share companies are doing an insufficient job cleaning their spots, then that's a separate complaint that we can probably bring up as well. But I just want us to understand what things are part of the car share program and what things are not. Doesn't mean we can't complain about them. It just means that while we complain about these things, we want to know if it's considered, part of the point of car share versus something that they're unknowingly, doing poorly. Okay, so I'm going to begin screen sharing here so we can all just see this really quickly. So here we have the car share, page. We can go over this in time, but I'm going to share the map, and I want us to take care of two things. The first thing being, what spots should be moved. And I also want us to figure out a quick criteria for, spots that would not be considered a bad place. Hopefully I'm sure everyone understands that, but let's get into it. Paco, I think you had your hand up for a while. Let me just make sure I have the order correct. But yes, Paco, you can go. You have the floor. Feel free to go on.
Sorry, I can lower my hand. I was just gonna say that we did this last time, and I know we had a record of it. So I just wanted to make sure we spent a lot of time last time. So I was hoping we could zip through and not repeat whatever was left.
I agree. Yeah, that is part of the goal here.
Zip.
Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, you can. 1 second. Sean, feel free to continue. You can go ahead. Sean?
LaShawn, you're muted.
Okay, hello? Yes.
Hello.
I don't know, Tara she said Sullivan, but I think when you look at the map, all of the spots surrounding the little tiny 1 block area. So I believe they're on Sullivan, Stoddard, and Montgomery. So those are the ones I'd like to reconsider. All right, thanks.
Okay.
Agreed.
Totally fine. And yes, part of reconsidering this will also be having a good replacement spot to move this to. So let me just add my panel. All right, so we have a car share map, which is right here. Hopefully everyone can see this. We'll zoom in a bit. So the green spots are zip cars, and the red pins, the red spots, are get around. All right. As we can see so far, the green spots are very clustered in a single area. I'm assuming the zip car picked this area because they know which parts of the district or parts of the city are more likely to, pay for that service. Which is why they've picked the spots that they wanted. However, it might be inconvenient for our district because some people might, be trying to park and they might have a lot more of this burden in their area versus elsewhere. Easily, one person might have 3 spots near them. Well, which actually ends up being 6 because 1 spot contains 2 parking spots in 1 zone. And it might be a bit difficult. And so far, the spots that Tara's brought up are the ones here around Ludlam and Sullivan, and there's also one, I believe, on Stoddard Place that they've marked in this spot right here. So
Yeah.
just want to note. Huh?
And those ones on Montgomery, right by the Dunkin' Donuts.
Yes.
Even they could just go around the corner and they could go to Bedford. But I know if I can just chime in real quick, Ethan, that I'm pretty sure
Yes,
they
go ahead.
spots because they used to have spots in the building on Nostrand and Sullivan, and then in the garage on Sullivan between Bedford and McKeever. So that probably fills that, where they don't have them there anymore.
Right. Okay. So this is good that we're seeing these on a screen. Now, judging by this, what DOT says about this program is that they're essentially made to be at the corner of residential and commercial avenues, right? So they're not going to put them in the middle of a commercial block like Montgomery, right in between here, where there's like no commercial access. They want them at the corner of a commercial block or a major, street and a minor one. So at the corner of, Montgomery and Bedford is what they've looked for in the past. The corner of Carroll and Bedford, corner of Royals and Crown, all seems to make sense with what they've been specifying. But the one in Sullivan and Ludlam and on Montgomery and Stoddard, these two are particularly unusual. And I would like to just have a discussion on whether these should be moved. It seems like it's a yes so far, and where these should be moved to. And then we can tackle others that should be moved and where. So we can have a discussion around this right now if you like, and we can, if you have your hands raised, we can take the floor. So, LaShawn, would you like to have any comments? Feel free to go ahead.
Hi, this is just for ideas for where they can be moved, right?
Yeah,
Okay. Oh, is my hand still raised?
it is.
Oh, I'm sorry. But I'll just add real quick. I think I'd mentioned whether we try to talk to Medgar Evers, and because that's a CUNY, so if we could possibly get some spots in there because it is city property, that's probably the ideal. Because we have Ebbets Field, so even going on a commercial street in this area, it's still a little, you're still taking parking from other people. So my first choice would be Medgar Evers and any other city lot in our area. Even the Bedford, the Armory, I think could probably, give up some spots because that is city land. I don't know what that relationship is like now, but that's some kind of community benefit we could at least ask for. And other than that, I say the commercial streets, but again, I don't want to take away from other people's spots either, because you've got Ebbets and, a lot of other residential spaces.
Okay. I'm gonna also begin using our friendly timer so that we can all keep it moving, because I'm trying to make sure everyone has ample time after this meeting to, live their lives. So I'll bring up a little timer here. Let's get it going. Tara, feel free to proceed. You have the floor.
Oh, well, I don't know. I wasn't going to say anything. I thought I said enough, but I would like those spots moved to similar, like further down Sullivan, where the bikes are on Sullivan and Bedford. Further down would be a spot on Bedford on Empire. Empire does have, residents on it. There's a lot of spots on Empire between all the way from McKeever down to Nostrand. There's great spots available.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why they would have them right in the middle of our residential area when they're trying to put them on corridors, which does make some sense, but there is a whole parking lot, LaShawn is right, at Medgar Evers.
Okay. So fair. So it looks like our first.
Are you gonna make a resolution? Is that
Yes,
what
we
you're
are.
working on? Oh,
Yes, we are.
awesome. Thank you.
Right. Yeah, we're just trying to finalize a bit of specifics. We want to let them know which spots are inconvenient and kind of counterproductive. We want to let DOT know some candidates for better locations for some of these. And we want to essentially just have something to bring them as opposed to just, there are too many spots here or these spots need to go. Because we don't want to just have a net negative for the districts and remove something that is helping people in some way. But if it's a bit too weighted to one side, that might be a problem. For example, approving a spot at the corner of Ludlam and Sullivan looks like exactly what they would have rejected, which doesn't make much sense to me, and clearly isn't going well with people who live in the area. So that's a good candidate for relocation. Either way. So here we are. Tara, your hand's still raised. Are you finished? Valerie, you got the floor.
Thank you. Just one comment. You made, you said something about you presume that the placement of the spots where where the people will pay for the service, but I'm concerned, why are so many spots in this one clustered location? So the comment you made seems a little prejudicial because you think that people maybe on New York and Sterling can't pay for the service? If I'm looking for a car to rent, because I thought that's what you said. So I'm just trying to clarify, because I'm wondering why there's so many spots in one particular location versus spreading it out. Because if this is a benefit for the community, and if there are some people who prefer to maybe just, rent a car for a few hours versus owning a car or taking an Uber, then why is it so clustered right here in this location? And why can't they maybe spread it out a little bit so it benefits more people in the community instead of just, it seems to me that it's overkill in this one particular area. So I also want to say that maybe consideration can be made, but it's competing businesses. You got City Bike, and then you have the car share. For me, on my particular block, we have the car share, the Zip cars that have 2 locations, but just right across on Rogers Avenue, they just recently took, I think, about five spaces maybe to put the City Bikes. So I'm not sure who's making the determination to say, okay, you can put them there, but I think that it's unfair for us to lose maybe 6 spots to 6 or more spots to 2 different businesses profiting from our particular locations without giving consideration to the people that live in the neighborhood. And again, my caveat is, I'm just looking out for the people in my neighborhood because I have a garage, so I can just pull in without any problem. But for those people that live on the block, that live in the apartment complexes, that may not have that advantage that I do, this takes away from the area that's available. And I guess I'm out of time, but we said this is public space, but to have a car in the street, you still got to pay for insurance, you still got to pay for registration, you still got to pay for everything. So it's not like it's really free to park your car. Thank you.
Right. So yeah, to answer your first question, I don't work at Zipcar, so I'm not going to pretend to know exactly why they picked the spots that they did. However, they are, they're not a nonprofit business, and the car share program is a partnership between the city and these, profit-seeking businesses. I'm trying to essentially maybe have them do at least some things for the benefit of some people. And of course, these companies are going to do, for the most part, what makes them the most profit. And I'm assuming that they're putting these locations in places that are most convenient to them and are most near their, most likely customers. A lot of these businesses do research on where these people may end up, so that they wouldn't, spend their money and get the spot and get no return on their investment. I'm just assuming here it could be completely nonprofit on their part. I'm not sure, but it looks like they have a motive of putting these all in the northwestern part of the district. But yeah, that is just a quick response to your comment there, Valerie. Yeah, you had still raised. Are you finished?
But you don't have any real data to show that this is why they did that. It's just still assuming, since you said you're assuming that this is what it is. But thank you, because I'm thinking that if this is going to benefit people, we have people throughout the district that may need transportation. So I'm just wondering, you know, what study and what data shows that the majority of their rides are coming from a location that they didn't even have a spot in the first place. So thank you.
We can likely try to get those metrics, but companies will likely guard that very tightly because that'll essentially be their expansion plan. And if they just put that out and it becomes public at some point, you can have competitors popping up, trying to get spots before they get them, and essentially giving away the most profitable places to put down new car share locations. And that would be something that they would be very much against letting anyone know.
Possibly. Thank you.
Could I
You're welcome.
be real quick?
Sure, go ahead.
I said it earlier, Valerie, but there were 2 locations like pretty close to where they now have the street spots in garages on Sullivan, like on either end of Sullivan. So I think that's probably why they chose this area, but you're right. Like they could spread it out since now they're getting street parking. But I just, you know, I know that those 2 garages existed and had Zipcar because I used to use the services, but just my 2 cents.
Thank you.
Maxine, you have the floor,
Yes.
proceed.
I'll try to be quick. To be specific, my community's concern is Sterling Street on the corner of Nostrand Avenue. It's a red spot on the map and it's get around. And certainly they need to get around to cleaning it. It's been over a month and they haven't cleaned it yet. And we've been clear tonight in that it is the corporation's responsibility and not the sanitation. So again, Sterling Street and Nostrand Avenue, where they have 3 spots. Last time we spoke, it seems, and from what I read, they're getting $200 a year, they being the city, per spot. That's like $20 a month. My community will be willing to pay them $50 a month. That's really cheap. Okay, we pay bills. I'm not finished. And again, as I think Valerie, I'm concerned about my community. I'm blessed. I have a car, I have a garage. But what's fair is fair. From Flatbush to all on Sterling Street to Nostrand Avenue, there's about 3. I love the idea to stagger it. Have 1. It seems that they want them close to the transit corridors. I get that. Okay. But no, I don't get that. Because if they get in a car, what do they need to do? Well, they may take the train to the car. To wrap it up, we have 3. Because you want specifics on Sterling Street from Flatbush Avenue to Nostrand Avenue. I have 3 on the corner of my home, which is between Rogers and Nostrand. And we have bicycles on the other corner. It's not fair. It's too many. And this is a residential block. Unfortunately, we have a transit corner right on the corner, but that we shouldn't have to be penalized for that. We pay real estate taxes like everyone else. So to be specific, Sterling Street, corner of Nostrand Avenue, they should get around to cleaning it. And I only see, and I could see it clearly, that they are utilizing 1 car. Maybe it will pick up, I don't know. So please put that in your database about my community and what they have voiced their concerns. Thank you guys for listening. And maybe next time we'll be updated on the progress. Thank you.
You're welcome. It'll be in the minutes. We'll also have that be a concern because I'm a bit unsure how the enforcement of cleaning has been going so far. Felice, you got the floor.
Okay, since I'm on the road, my husband is with me.
Hi, everyone. My name is Hector, and I've been listening to this discussion. And the one thing that I haven't heard anyone say or mention is that this program is really driven by local law 47 and local law 50. Local law 47 initially mandated that these car share programs be located in municipal parking spaces. Local law 50 amended 47 to say that they could park just about anywhere in the city. And so because of this law, this was a pilot program that the city initiated to see how it would go. The thing about this program is that they're planning on expanding this to include 400 parking spaces across the city. My point is, we can sit here and debate this as to where is the best location or the worst location, because any location is going to be a nightmare for somebody else. I think that we should be talking about how do we actually get this law either amended in a way that it doesn't affect the residents of any community to find a better suitable place for these businesses. Because I'm going to tell you right now, there is a company that is racking up on this business, but do not be surprised that there will be other companies also jockeying for spaces around the city for parking spaces on the street. So local law 47 and local law 50, which was just passed in 2017, is what we ought to be talking about with our council members to make sure that this gets attacked. And when election comes, you need to keep this in mind, because this is affecting our community. I'm sorry?
Expired. I'm saying it has expired. Sorry about that.
No, it is not. It is not
You can
expired.
finish. You can finish, but your time has just expired yet. I'm trying to keep it to 2 minutes this time.
Okay,
but-
so I'm just gonna say this quickly. We need to be talking about how we actually approach our city council members to get this law either amended where it doesn't really affect residents or completely revoked, because it's really a business for the city that is not convenient for us. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. Andrew, your hand's been up for a bit. You have the floor. Andrew?
Sorry, had to unmute. I think Felice was talking before me and got cut off, but if you can hear me, I just quickly want to say that on the other page on your browser tab that's open, we're still in a pilot, and the pilot from the press release from 2023 said that they're going to expand Zipcar in this area. I think this is kind of a futile conversation to have, to be honest. Like, I understand there's concern and frustration about them not locating them and what they say are their parameters, but I think assuming that they located here because it's richer or whatever is not correct. It's a pilot, and they're going to expand the same way everything kind of expands through our neighborhood. That's my 2 cents.
Are pilots mandated to expand southeast from downtown Brooklyn?
That's what City Bike did. That's what the trash mobilization is going to do. Like that's, that's what happens.
Why is it that way? I'm trying to get to the why behind that. If nothing's forcing them to do it, then they're making a choice. And it's hard to believe that they would make a choice that would hurt them.
The 2016 original pilot, the DOT restricted them to very specific areas. Zipcars was one of these. It was this really tiny corner. You can look back on it. I'm sure it's probably just institutional inertia, but like, this is, at the end of the day, it doesn't seem to matter. I'm in favor of these personally, but I understand that people are upset by them. But regardless of your position, they are going to increase. Unless, we have accordance.
I've used them recently. And I mean, I agree with you, Andrew. Like these things are going to expand. There's no process looking to slow them down so far. That's true. But
so if you remove something from, if you remove something from Sullivan and then they do another expansion next year, they're going to say, oh, we just had a car here. Let's put one here. We knew that it had a certain performance.
Right.
They have the data for that. That's what I'm, okay, sorry. I'm over time.
No, you're okay. It's okay. I was responding to you. So, I mean, I'll make up for that, of course. But I'll time myself as well, because, yeah, I was gonna say that, I mean, the way that these pilot programs evolve, part of how these pilot programs evolve is partially based on, feedback from community boards and stuff like that. So, I mean, I think we're doing what's part of the process, giving feedback on something. If they put a spot here and they get some feedback that it's a poor location, it's hard to believe that they would, forget about that feedback and think it was perfectly fine soon after. But
Okay.
I'm aware that there are only going to be more of these. And I'm just saying the least we could do is at least let these agencies know which, locations were advantageous versus not. Zach, you have the floor. I believe Jeff spoke before on this topic. Am I right on that?
No, I did not.
Okay, my mistake. Jeff, you should be going first in this case.
Okay, first and foremost, everybody should know that this map in front of us is not up to date. So for us to spend any time trying to decide where to move these pins is a waste of time, because I could tell you that I live on Sterling between Washington and Bedford, and those pins were moved in the last 2 weeks. And I doubt that it's only on the corner of Sterling and Washington that they have moved them. So for us to use this as a factual document to make suggestions is a complete waste of time. I believe that what Hector just said is what is the most effective way to proceed if there's a consensus to do what so many are saying. But I don't think there's a consensus here, because some folks have already expressed that they don't have a problem with it, and some say they do. So I'm not sure how this committee would best use its time to address this issue. My vote is that these cars should be placed in a central location, as history has shown us most rental cars have been. And they don't have to be inconvenient, right? They should look at commercial spaces like the Western Beef parking lot, like the Medgar Evers parking lot, like any other commercial area, but not in front of people's homes. And the last thing I want to say is, regardless where we get them to move, you can still rest assured that you will still lose parking. Because if they move them to Bedford, if they move them to Flatbush, if they move them to Empire, those were parking spaces that everyday people would have taken. So if those spaces are no longer available because car shares have them, then people will move their cars to Ludlam, to Stoddard, to Sterling Street, right? It's a net zero game, right? So that's basically what I wanted to put out to the committee. I think that if there's any way we could take action to get the electeds to understand that there's a large part of the constituency that is not in favor of this, that might be our best route, if that's the consensus of the committee. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Jeff. Part of the effort here is, to let them know about some acute feedback, because there are some that are in people's homes that are in specifically disadvantageous places that are not. I mean, getting the law repealed or changed is going to be definitely a longer process than getting a few extremely, opposed spots moved. So ideally, we'd like to get both done, but it doesn't make sense if a large part of the community is having issues with this, letting our elected officials know so they can take some action on the legal level. And about the map, this map was based on DOT's information provided to us by the district office based on spots as of a couple of weeks ago. The information on DOT's website is actually even less up to date. The one on Ludlam and Stone, the last time I checked, wasn't even there at that point. So this is, from what I've understood, it's kind of as up to date as we can get. And part of what I was hoping to do on this is to get some criteria that would invalidate other spots that might be in also, places that are just as bad as the ones that we're currently complaining. So what I want is to have a resolution that it doesn't really doesn't get out of date. We want to use what we're seeing here to essentially not only pick spots, but also create a bit of a criteria that prevents future spots from popping up that would be a bit of a loss for more people than program intends. Benny, you have the floor. Please proceed.
Yes, thank you. Based on what I heard before, that this is a pilot. Well, first of all, is this a pilot for the entire program or just for individual spots? That's one question. And if it's a pilot for the entire program, wouldn't we or the community have some say in whether or not it goes forward? Or if it becomes permanent? Because a pilot seems to say, it seems to tell me that it's a temporary thing and they're just trying it out to see if it works with the community.
That's usually how pilots work.
A law was already passed.
Sorry?
Someone respond?
I think that was Felice, and she said a law was already passed.
Yeah, Felice was clarifying that the pilot program, I believe, has ended and it's now a fully functional program.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Yeah,
So I guess then our only solution is to get it revoked or to change it.
Yeah. Perhaps.
Touchdown.
All right, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Zach, did you speak before on this topic? Oh,
No, I have
Jeff.
not spoken today.
Did you intend to? That's why your hand raised.
Yes, I would love to.
Okay, please go ahead. You have the floor.
Thanks. Hi, Zach Youngren. I live here. I live on Lincoln and Rogers. My parents live in the suburbs out in Massachusetts, kind of in the middle of nowhere. And the only way to visit them is with a car. And I like to visit them. I don't own a car. The only way to get there really is to use these car share services. I know Jeff mentioned, traditional services that have all their kind of cars in a parking lot in one place. The last 2 times I tried to use those, I got there and they were like, sorry, we rented your car out. Zipcar is the only way I can really go visit them. And so it's been a real lifesaver for me. I don't understand why these are considered anti-community or non-community. As a community member, these are incredibly beneficial for me. And in fact, I really wish they were near me because when I go visit them, I have to lug all of my stuff out to a different part of the CD, which is either expensive renting a car or challenging if it's heavy and I have to walk very far. So, I know I hear the frustration of them taking up parking spaces near individuals, but I really would like to get on the record that despite being run by a company, these are actually useful and used by people who live here. That is the only reason that they can be here, because they are useful and used by people who live here. So thank you very much.
That is a very fair point. People use these, and especially, and there are some reasons why, I just want to clarify, there are some reasons why they would pick areas near transit stations to put these. Because if you live near a transit station, you have less reason to own a car full time. If you live in somewhere like Mill Basin or Marine Park, where you don't have many transit stations near you, you're much more likely to own a car or at least have a lease on one and not need a once in a while, temporary car rental. Julie, you have the floor. Your hand's been up for a bit. Julie, you're muted.
Hi, thank you so much. I don't have anything to say about this issue. I'm sorry if I missed something. I didn't understand that most of the meeting was dedicated to this issue. I'm wondering when we're going to have a DOT rep back for these meetings so we can talk about traffic calming issues. And I did tune in 15 minutes after the start dates, after the start time. So if I missed it, I apologize, but I wanted to follow up on some issues we've been trying to press on Lefferts between Washington and Bedford regarding traffic calming and the speed camera, wondering if it's working. Does it work both ways? I think it was broken. People are speeding like out of control. So if people want to keep talking about this other issue, I totally understand, but is there an opportunity in November to tune in to talk, to talk about that?
Yes, there will be. I'll get that on the agenda. Yeah, next November, we are gonna have a section more dedicated to traffic, We already have an agenda item for that, including the behavior of mopeds and e-bikes. We're gonna include some more traffic calming on that meeting as well. So there's gonna be a bit more like street calming measures in the November meeting. And
Okay.
just so you know, from what I've known, there have been efforts to install a speed bump, to have one installed on efforts between Bedford and Washington. But we're basically trying to like amass reasons for DOT to install one more quickly, because there is one a block forward, I think, between Bedford and Rogers. And we know that typically if there's a bus on a street, we can't have one installed, but that isn't the case here. So we are trying to move that along and get DOT to install to, help calm traffic.
Yeah, we keep getting denied. And every other block around us has one. It's an on-ramp from Flatbush Avenue, people speed. And back in the summer, I heard that not that I think a speed camera is a good substitution, but we do have a speed camera on our block, but DOT said it was broken. I don't know if it's ever been repaired. I have not been able to get a definitive answer whether or not it captures speeding on going in both directions or just one direction. And they claim that they've done studies and we don't qualify, and it just makes no sense. So we just want to keep pushing, but is somebody from DOT going to be on the November meeting?
I'll work with the office to get that to happen. I don't have any current plans to get that yet, but we are gonna work with that to, make that a November fixture.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. LaShawn, your hands up. Are you trying to get the floor?
Sorry, it takes me so long to unmute. I just wanted to reiterate, and might be redundant, but it is a pilot program. You said this, Ethan. I think someone else mentioned it, but that means you see how it works, and then if people participate and give feedback, things can change. So I don't know why everybody's so defeatist and why everybody thinks there's nothing we can do. That's BS. So please stop. And yes, I understand people hear that it is beneficial. Again, I am a former Zipcar user. Even when I had a car, I would use Zipcar sometimes. I also have my own driveway. So this is not just about me. I'm not just doing this for me. This is for the entire community and other people that need their cars for their livelihood, that may need their cars because they have mobility issues and the public transportation isn't the best option for them. So this is not just about me. Not just about me. I'm doing this for other people. We're not saying to get rid of Zipcar so that people can't go to Massachusetts or Vermont or New Hampshire or wherever the heck you're going. Because I go to those places too. But again, I have a driveway. So this is not just for me. I am advocating for other people in the community. Yes, darling. What happened? You smell the food, right? Yeah, let's do it. Come have dinner. So, okay. All right. So again, it's not just, sorry, I'm not just doing me. This is for other people in the community. So we're trying to find an alternative that will work for more people than not, because in front of people's homes, like residential low-rise houses, it's not cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Tara, your hand's been raised. Are you still trying to access the floor, or are you just not lower it? Oh, okay. Okay. So we know what spots so far people generally want moved. It seems to be these two. That's fair. Do we also want to have any criteria that would space out these a bit so that you wouldn't end up having, half of a block or a quarter of a block occupied with these zones just because a company applied for it and got approved? I think it would be pretty useful for us to work out a quick criteria, maybe like a number of spots within a certain block radius that would essentially cap that number and give DOT some more guidelines to maybe reject applications for spots that might be kind of, excessive. Does anyone have any ideas on a proposal like that? I'd like to get a pretty clear road towards a resolution so we can get this done quickly and send this up. Benny, I see you have your thumbs up. That's good. Any thoughts?
This sounds like a good idea.
Okay.
Yeah, you can, keep the density in check. So then, at least it's spread out over a larger area, and
Yeah, because some people are saying want to get the law revoked or repealed, which is it's fine to have the opinion, but the least we can do right now, if the concern is just that feel like we're being overrun by these, and while they are helpful, some people are a little bit overwhelmed. And I'm sure many others are feeling that way too. The least we can do, and that has the highest chance of being acted upon, is to have some simple guidelines that DOT can work with and can kind of outline what zones they should approve and which ones they should, reject. It'll prevent us from having to come back to this a ton of times and ask for relocations. And it'll also make their lives easier by just having a simple guideline that they can look at a spot request and say no to that. So does anyone have a suggestion of how many spots within, like, let's say a 4-block radius would make sense?
I would say that maybe based on walking time, maybe, if you say, let's say it takes 10 minutes to walk 2 blocks, then maybe, you shouldn't have more than one in a 2-block radius.
Okay. Paco, your hand raised. Feel free to have the floor.
I understand what you're going for. I think that makes sense, but I also think it's really hard to do a general criteria because there's an apartment building that's 6 stories and may have a few hundred residents that may need a lot of, if it is a program that gets used a lot, I would love the data on usage if the car share companies would disperse it, but some corners may really benefit from having many spaces given to car share, whereas some corners like Ludlam is single story or 2-story buildings and wouldn't benefit from perhaps at all or just needs 1 spot. So for us to do a blanket within a 4-block radius we can only have X spots, that feels really short-sighted to me. I understand the intention, but I also feel like it's very easy to poke holes in it.
It's a good point, Paco. So now you're bringing the point of maybe, zoning might have a role to play in all this, right? Maybe like an R6 zone, a taller building might need more spots around it than an R2 with just like single family or 2-family homes. That makes a lot of sense, and that is true. That is true. Okay, that makes sense. But you get the intention. It's mainly to have something to give DOT that maybe they can't even comment on and adjust because they might have more information at their fingertips than we might. And it's just to generally, control density. And again, right, to an extent, we do need to have a bit of a upper limit. We can't have like a 12-story building having 3/4 of all the blocks being car share spots, can we? Because What about people who reserve their cars from other companies like Budget or Hertz? Where are they going to park? Now it's going to just weight the whole industry towards these car share companies that can apply for spots. And you might have companies that are large like Hertz or Avis opening up like maybe car share divisions and trying to get spots too. So eventually it'll still end up eroding what non-renters have available, which isn't, I understand we're not trying to necessarily just enshrine them on the street parking, but I think there is a bit of a balance upper limit that we could probably at least allude to for the moment. Sorry for maybe going on pretty long if I did that. Felice, you have the floor. Go on.
Yes, thank you. You just said it. You're opening up Pandora's box. You're going to have everything on the block being parked. Why didn't they think of putting these cars, or some of them, in Mega Everett's parking lot? They could utilize the money. Right now, I do know for a fact that they're utilizing the Botanical Gardens parking lot. So here you said it yourself, and it's
Are you finished with it? If you are, Valerie, you have the floor. Feel free.
This is just quickly though. I think that it's very important that we kind of find out what the criteria was for the placement of these particular spots, because what I don't want to see is what I call the Starbucks syndrome, which was come to light during the pandemic, that you have Starbucks almost in every other corner. And while some of the Starbucks were very successful and they were making money, they were carrying the other Starbucks that really didn't make any money. But just to know that there was a Starbucks there, you could go to it as an alternative. So I'm saying that so that they're not just placing these spots so that they're there, but they're really not turning over or being profitable, and they're not really benefiting the people in which they were intended. So if there's some way that we could look at whatever their criteria is.
I'm sorry, did you hear anything I said? I'm still driving.
Oh, I'm sorry. We thought that you had stopped talking. I'm sorry.
I thought you would stop. Your audio completely cut about halfway in. You heard?
I'm sorry.
Did we miss anything? Feel free to reiterate.
All I said was that you're opening up Pandora's box where it will not be, fair to the people that live in the community. I'm sorry. I apologize. Opening the
Oh, it's okay.
Okay, can you hear me okay? All right.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Thank you. So you want to, like I said, you have dollar rent a car, Hertz, Zipcar. You're gonna have all of these vehicles on the car, and it will not be any parking spaces for the people that live there, have lived there for years. And they utilize the street. Okay, so it's just not fair to us. Okay, I've been there, I was raised there. Come on, I have a car. I also use, if I have to, Hertz or whatever vehicle I need to use, and park my car in the parking lot, but I go to the place itself to get it. Okay, I mean, you have to look at things fairly. Okay, I know some people don't have a car. They would like to have the convenience in front of their house or the front of their apartment building. I understand, but we have to come to a place where it's fair for everyone. And right now, we are opening up Pandora's box for every vehicle to be parked on the street, and there will not be any space for people that pay taxes and have their cars on the street. That's what I'm saying. So this is a pilot, then this pilot needs to be reversed. Okay, if you would like to park your car, these zip cars somewhere, give money to the colleges and park in their parking spaces, like they're doing with Botanical Garden. Okay, let's do it smart. Okay, let's be smart about it. All right, thank you.
Welcome. Felice, would you like to move to take any action on, allocating spots to city parking lots?
Yeah, I would like to make a motion that they should suggest to give the colleges, the fundings that they give in the city to have the parking spaces. I'm sure some of these colleges, or these colleges, may agree to a few parking spaces, just as Botanical Garden has agreed to theirs. I would like to make a motion for that. I would like to make a motion that they do not park in front of people's homes where they have their houses. Okay, they may say it's on the corner, but still it's in front of someone's house. You know, they have to be fair about this. I would like to make a motion that they move their cars when it's time to get the parking spaces clean. Okay. Oh, no, I'm sorry. They're responsible for cleaning that, right? I mean, what motion you want me to make? Because I tell you, the way things are looking is just not fair.
We have a second on any of those
sorry, I'm-
motions?
I would like to make a motion that we have these zip cars park in the parking spaces that the colleges have. I'm sure that they wouldn't mind having money coming to them that way. I would like to make that motion. If anyone have any other input, please say so.
Seconds or amendments to that motion. Felice has moved to recommend that city parking lots that are in areas of interest for some of these car share spots be considered as well to, you know, car share companies attempting to have a spot nearby. Felice, is that accurately summarize your motion?
Can I ask that that motion be amended to include not just city, right? Not just colleges, but any commercial facility, right? So we have TD Bank, we have Rite Aid, we have Western Beef. These are places where we're talking about 1 or 2 parking spaces, not the entire lot. And 90% of the time, when you go to these places, there are spaces that are sitting empty. So it's not like we're in a place where these commercials parking lots are always filled to the max. The only time Western Beef parking lot is filled to the max is the day before Thanksgiving, the day before Easter, or something like that. The rest of the time, there are always empty spaces in Western Beef parking lot. So those 2 or 4 spaces that are taken up on Washington Avenue or on Sterling Street, they could easily be placed there in Western Beef, and Western Beef could be making some revenue off of that. So I just want to say,
Totally agree.
right, augment the motion to include all municipally owned parking facilities and commercial facilities should be the primary location for these car shares, and it should never be placed in front of a private residence.
So moved.
Here's a second. Do we have any opposition to this motion? Second, Paco, I see you. It'd be easier if I can, yeah, if you raise your hand, if you oppose, so I can accurately, you know, note that. Let's see, Paco. Felice, are you opposing your motion?
Sorry.
So Paco, it's you. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
if I could just speak on why I would oppose
Yes.
that. I'm not opposed to saying the city should also consider other spaces, but the amendment Jeff made to never put car share spaces in front of private residences seems like that nullifies most of the city. And like, you know, the car share being closer to me is what's going to make me give up my car. So if you say it's not going to have car share near me, then I'm keeping my car, and then I'm taking away a parking spot from everyone else. So
Would you like to amend the motion to remove that part? Never in front of a private residence. I can see why someone would. It seems like it might be a bit of a, you know, strict restriction. So if you like to amend that, feel free. I'm assuming you want. Paco, you're muted. I can't hear you.
Wait, you want me to, isn't it Felice's motion?
Yes. I'm asking if you have an amendment you'd like us to vote on for that motion.
Oh, yeah, to not say never in front of a private residence. I think that would just make car share not function in the city.
All right, you can suggest the amendment.
Well, so then the
Okay.
motion would be to, I guess, encourage car share companies to consider any commercial facility or municipally owned parking lots in the area, such as colleges or Western Beef, things like that.
Yes. We have anyone seconding that amendment?
Before we get to seconding it, I just need to understand, respectfully, Paco, you did hear the discussions that were raised about how these car share companies are not being responsible in moving the cars for alternate side. One person mentioned the recent flooding and all of these other issues. So if that car is in front of your house, the street sweeper can't clean in front of your house. This is why we're pushing for it not to be in front of a private residence. I'm not using that car share. I'm not going out there bending down, trying to clear the garbage, the leaves, the rats, the food from under that car. We have a neighbor who I can tell you, if you don't move your personal car, she's out there ringing your doorbell. It's no joke on Sterling Street. We make sure our streets are clean on this block. So I feel sorry for anybody who's dealing with these car share cars that are virtually abandoned in front of their homes. So I couldn't support the amended motion without the private residence line.
Yes, it is very important. And it's very selfish and cruel to keep saying, oh, you have the car by your right by the train and it's more conducive, it'll stop you from driving. Understand that many people are immobile. Okay, many of the seniors use their car, they can't get on MTA. There's not an elevator at every station. Okay, it's good for you, but it's not good for everyone else. In addition to the people that cannot utilize MTA, and one person had the nerve to say, oh, let them call Access-a-Ride. Maybe they're not eligible for Access-a-Ride. Number two, many of my neighbors use their car and must for their livelihood. That's how they take care of their families. It's very selfish just, oh, it's good for me when I go. What about everybody else? And yes, I watched the 3 cars where only one is utilized for a whole month and no one has cleaned it. We've established that the corporations get around to it and Lyft or whatever the hell their name is responsible, but they don't.
Time's expired.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Tara, your hand's raised. Feel free to.
Hi. I just want to make a quick point that there is a regulation in the city of New York where if there is in front of your home, you are responsible for, I believe it's 18 inches beyond the curb. So I'm personally responsible for, in front of my home, the sidewalk and 18 inches into the street. So if there's fines or tickets or from the sanitation department, it would go to the homeowners, which makes this as you can see, very stressful situation, and the fines are quite high. So, I mean, somebody has thrown stuff in front of my house and I've ended up with fines. I had a whole broken cash machine one time, debit machine thrown in front of my house. No, not joking. And it became like a criminal investigation. So just saying what happens in front of your house, you bear responsibility for it and for that cleaning. So that's why that's why Jeffrey brings that up.
Thank you, Tara. I saw Nicola Cava's hand raised. I'm not sure if she'd still like to speak. If not, Paco, you can proceed.
Hi, sorry, a call was coming in. Hold on a second.
Okay.
I just wanted to add one other point regarding parking, having these spaces in front of homes. When it's parked in front of your home, you can't even stop to unload or there's no standing in front of that house again. So it's, for private homeowners who, as Tara mentioned, are responsible for keeping that area clean. If there are cracks in the sidewalk, anything else we have to pay for. I can no longer park my car for a few minutes to unload, to let people in and out without getting a ticket. So it's very inconvenient and really disrespectful to the homeowner to have this kind of space put in front of them where they no longer have access to the street parking in front of their building. Not to say that they need it forever, but it's not, even if it's a regular car that's being moved periodically as people have off to the side of the street, etc. You'd be able to park there for a few minutes to load and unload. You no longer have access to the front of your building any longer with these zip cars. So it is a problem. Thank you.
I think I do want to I believe you can stop to drop off, pick up passengers in these areas, but it is a no standing zone. All you can do is basically quickly drop off or pick up something. You can't maybe you probably can't unload your groceries and that kind of thing in the spot. It's just quick, pickups and drop offs. But you're for the most part right.
May I add, it also devalues the home, a homeowner's house, to have that right in front.
Paco's hands been out for a little while.
It devalues it.
Paco, feel free to go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I'm also a homeowner here, and I don't always have parking right in front of my house because it's a street that if someone else beats me into the spot, then they get it too. And I clean like broken bottles out of the tree pit in front of my house all the time. I didn't do it. I clean it up because I don't want my kids to step in broken glass. But like when someone doesn't move their car for street cleaning, like I don't get the fine. The car gets a ticket. So it's not the homeowner there. If there's a cracked sidewalk, yes, that I've been fined for before. But
that is not true. If there's trash in front of your house and you don't clean it, you do get a ticket. What are you talking about?
But I'm saying if the trash is a car,
I've gotten a ticket for trash.
when there's a car in front of my house that's blocking for street cleaning, the car can get a ticket for not moving for street cleaning. Except when the cars don't have license plates.
Yeah, they could get one. That's a whole nother talk show. But so can the homeowner.
Yes. If there's leaves and junk there, you can get a ticket for real, for sure. Absolutely. If the street cleaner can't get to that spot and all those leaves there and you're away for that week, what do you think happens? You get a ticket.
Okay.
And then you have to worry about a flood. We've had flooding on our block because of blocked sewer grates. They got to clean it, and they're not.
It is 9 p.m. Do we have any opposite? So do we have a second at all for Paco's amendment to remove the butt of this motion that encourages DOT to essentially never approve conscious spots in front of private homes? This is removing the part that encourages the DOT to, or more clearly discourages the DOT from approving spots in front of homes. Do we support removing that? Any seconds?
I still stand on what motion I put on the floor, and I believe what Jeff had stated. And that's what I go with. Okay, then that's equitable for everyone. That's what I stand for.
I agree with Pac. I live in a building that has residences above, like a ham bar, which is a stupid concept, but it's multi-use. Like, this is a silly requirement. It doesn't make sense in New York City. don't add additional burdens to this if we're trying to just get around. Like, I second Paco's motion.
Okay. Okay. Do we have any more
If I'm
votes
allowed
on
to.
do we have any more votes on removing that amendment? Do we have any opposition to the amendment that removes that discourages BOT from putting these spots in front of homes? It's a multiple negative question to ask here. I'm not a fan of it, but right now, what's on the floor? Well, Penny.
Yeah.
You can go ahead.
I got a little confused with the back and forth, but I mean, I think that there should be a delineation between residential and commercial, and because with different needs, and I think that it ends up conflicting each other too much. So I would support not allowing these spots to be in front of, especially home, 2-family homes. Buildings might be a different issue because they're not really.
Every avenue and 80 feet into the street is a commercial overlay in our district. Like, what? Help me understand this distinction. It's not clear to me.
Well, not every single street has an overlay. It's only those are next to commercial avenues, right?
I'm saying the commercial
Right.
overlay on an avenue extends one plot into, like, this is the majority of corners, and 50 feet on either side.
Okay, just to remind the committee, the current motion on the floor is, who we're currently and what we're voting on is right now. The motion as is would discourage BOT from putting car show zones in front of public homes.
And what about Jeff's amendment? Was that denied? It was an excellent amendment.
Right now, yes, that's on the floor too, but right now, so there's a principle in Robert's rules where what comes first goes last. So when someone amends a motion, we vote on the amendment first, and then we vote on the entire thing. So right now, we're voting on the most recent piece, which is Paco's amendment, to remove the discouragement of putting car share zones in front of public homes. And so far, Andrew has seconded that.
Ethan, you're saying public homes. Is that what you mean to say?
I'm going to say private homes, my mistake.
Okay.
Thank you, Jeff. Zach, is this you in favor of that amendment by Paco?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
So
Do
if
we have
we're
any
voting, I
votes?
vote no. If we're voting, I vote no. I vote on the amendment that I put down and what Jeff had agreed to. That's what I vote on. Thank you.
Okay, so far we have Paco, we have Zach, we have Andrew voting for this amendment. We have anyone else in favor of removing the piece discouraging DOT from placing these zones in front of private homes? No. Right, I have 3 in favor. Anyone else at all?
So are you telling me that 3 are in favor in having cars parked in front of people's apartments, private housing? That's what you're saying to me?
That's what it seems. There are 3 at least people here who are saying, some of the cars already parked in front of people's homes could be converted to a car share spot.
Okay, so what are the votes for the nays? That's the vote.
Right.
What is the vote?
Yeah,
for the nays?
Yeah. Alternatively, let's have all of the people who are in favor of this amendment raise their hands. It'll be easier for us to track.
Hey, could you take the screen share down so we could see? Because I don't think we still need to see the map.
You don't, you're right. Okay, fair. I think we already have our voting item on the floor. So yes. Paco, amendment. anyone in favor, please raise your hand. So we have Paco, we have Andrew, and we have Zach, all in favor so far. Anyone else who's not against, who wants to allow, you know, the car share zones on or near private homes? Apart from Paco, Andrew, and Zach. Okay, it seems not. So that amendment seems that it does not carry. So now we are voting on the original Jeff's amended motion from Felice, which essentially would discourage DOT from placing car share zones in front of private homes. Felice, the original motion was also to encourage DOT to also dedicate some parking for car share zones to be used at, you know, in municipal, city controlled or city owned parking lots and
That's
commercial.
Jeff amended it, yes.
Yes.
He amended it along with me, yes.
Do we have anyone who is against this motion? Please.
Are you going by the zoning? Sorry, can I confirm? Are you going by the zoning allowance? That's the plan, or like what is physically there? Because like Medgar Evers, while a municipal lot, is in an R6 zone. Like what? Be specific. What like is it?
Now, this is not the zoning allowance we're looking at here. We're mostly just essentially bringing attention to DOT working with these municipal parking lots to dedicate some of the lots that are already there for car share zones, so that perhaps car share zones can make more use of those before they go to the street. Perhaps these
was there significance about it being an R6 zone? Is there a reason why you mentioned that zoning?
No, I'm just saying like it's zoned for residences and residences only. Like
no, but yes, but that wasn't the basis of the recommendation. The basis of the recommendation was to utilize
what is physically there.
Underutilized parking facilities. That's what
Andrew, I want to just clarify how does the R6 zone, for example, impact the presence or the use of a, you know, commercial parking lot in the area? You said so
because it's not supposed to be a commercial parking lot there. I don't know.
Well,
I don't
on, so
want
Andrew,
it to become. I want it. Sorry, I will be quiet.
I was going to quickly clarify. So that's an interesting argument because street parking that might be in an R3 or an R4 zone, someone might bring up the fact that that's also meant that's in a residential zone as well. Why should a private car company monopolize that?
Wow, that's pretty good. We just turned the street into a commercial parking zone. I didn't even think about that. But Andrew, I understand what you're raising, except that all I'm suggesting is that those existing places that I mentioned, everything from Western Beef to TD Bank to Rite Aid to Medgar Evers or any other existing parking lot, where for the majority of the time, there's at least 2 spaces or more available. Why not have the companies put their cars there? Right? It's not changing them into commercial parking lots.
And I support that aspect of it totally.
Okay. So no,
that's not the amendment that I voted against.
Because to me, this will be a win-win for all. For example, where the targets are at the junction, you got your transportation, you know, saying something about they want to have these car share spaces where there's public transportation, so it's easy access for people, you know, by the targets. You have the Target downtown Brooklyn, we have the Target right here, the Western Beef, instead of having it on the street, it's right there. So it's, you know, you might have to walk 50 paces west or whatever, but it's still kind of right there. So it to me would be kind of like a win-win for all people if we are able to use space that's underutilized, and then the person that has a property can make a couple of bucks.
Exactly. And listen, I may want to go shopping in Western Beach and then take my groceries and put it in the car. How about that?
I have a quick note that I want to also share. For people, I heard the concern earlier that someone might want a car share spot near their house. I understand the appeal of that, but I also want to just mention that you can also rent the car share spot and drive it in front of your house. And if you have to carry a box or something in there, you can just put it in the car.
Yeah.
It's also
I'm
doable.
sorry, but it doesn't make any sense to me why it is a valid concern, and it is a valid concern to want parking in front of your house for your private car, but it is not a valid concern to want parking near your house for your shared car. Those are the exact same concern.
Right, the difference is that the difference here, the way that I understand it is that yes, people tend to stop there. They stop at wanting it because we all know that no one can so far reserve a public spot for themselves until these businesses began to do it. There are many people who would probably pay 5 times what these companies are paying to have a parking lot in front of their brownstone saved just for them. But most
Yes, we
people have-
undervalue parking. If we had a zip car spot near my house, that wouldn't be just for me. That would be for anyone in the community who needs it. I completely agree. Putting parking spots in like Western Beef makes sense. They are forced to have huge parking lots that they don't need because of zoning requirements. I completely agree that they need to be cleaned. That is absolutely insane that they're allowed to not clean these spots. I'm with you 100%. I just want to make sure that the position is not unstated, that people who use these like them near their houses for the exact same reason that people who have private cars want them near their houses. It's the same thing.
Very fair point.
Okay.
I
The
appreciate
only
your time. Thank you
difference-
so much.
LaShawn
The
has your
only
hand raised.
difference is that you open up Pandora's box where you invite other car shares that want to do the same, which is not fair to those that do own a car. Okay, and car rental. All we're asking and all we're saying is that we have to share this. Yes, so we want this to be convenient for everyone. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut in, but I just had to insert this to show my passion as well as being fair for everyone, not just fair for a few or just one or two.
Well, Sean's hand's been raised. I also want to give him a chance to have the floor. Feel free to go ahead. You're not muted, but I'm not hearing you yet. LaShawn?
LaShawn? Yeah. They're calling for you. Oh, here, hold on. Here.
Take your time.
Okay, I know. Hey, oh, sorry. I thought I was trying to unmute. Sorry. Hi, Chawai. I don't even remember right now at this point because I just had a little meltdown. Oh, I do now. I do. I just was the Western Beef TD Bank thing. I don't know. Yeah, you'd have to talk to DOT, but I'm assuming that the reason they pulled out of apartment buildings, developments, was because they didn't want to pay what they were paying them. Because I can't imagine they were paying $475 for 2 spots in any of the, local building garages. So I really think our best bet is Medgar Evers. But again, I don't know. This is just I'm just, whatever. All right, thanks.
Most apartment buildings tend to charge at least $150 a month.
Right.
For these parking spaces. The ones that I've been in charge about 300, 250 around there. So yeah, they're getting a much better deal with the city's program.
Yeah, I don't think that, the Western Beef and TD are going to take that money. But who knows? But I really think Medgar is the way to go because it's city property.
Okay. So back to our vote counts for this motion. Let me just I'll do a quick roll call just so we get these votes tabulated. So supporting the amended motion from Felice and from Jeff, essentially this would discourage DOT from placing car trailers in front of private housing. It would also recommend that they first be placed in commercial parking lots like Western Beefs and Medgar Rivers and Rite Aid and those types. I'd like to just do a quick roll call and make sure that all of the folks here are supported. So Felice and Jeffrey, it's your motion, so of course you two already support it. Benny, are you for reconnaissance?
I'm for.
Okay. Gloria, she's still here. Lorianne is Lorianne still here? It looks like she's not. Okay. Paco.
Not in favor.
Okay. Valerie.
I'm in favor.
Okay. Stanley Greenberg is not here. Callista. Callista is also not here, and we already have Jeff. So as of right now, myself, I'm in favor of this motion as well. So this motion carries. All right. So this one passes. I'd also, I'd like to add I wanted to add a late amendment as well. Probably capping maybe the number of spots to at least just not be on directly adjacent blocks. I would have preferred for DOT to first prefer spots that are at least a block away from each other, so that we wouldn't end up with like 4 in a clustered area. Instead, kind of maybe have them more available to folks who might not live in the specific spot where they're placed, which actually ends up helping potentially more people. So those who live far away might have a spot near them instead of having to move towards where they all are in one specific place. Is there a second for anyone on this motion?
I second it.
Okay.
I third it.
Is anybody against this amendment? No? Is anyone against motion to recommend the DOT not place car share spots on directly adjacent blocks? Okay, that motion carries as well. Okay, so we have 2 motions essentially on the floor, one amended and one new. So looks like we have some good action items on this piece of business. Now, the next piece of business that we were looking to handle, and I just kept it to 2 because I had a feeling the car show would have been quite long as it was. The second piece of business is mostly about the bus redesign. I wanted to have an open discussion on other lines apart from the B49 and just any travel corridors that people might have issue with and want to have spoken about in a future meeting. Are there any current bus lines that are slated to be redesigned and the new route would be a problem?
I believe they're speaking on the 43, 49. I even think the 41 and the 48 may be in jeopardy in speaking to these bus drivers when I am on the bus. They speak on it. So I think if we can get DOT to explain why, give us some clarification to their reasoning for doing what they would like to do or attempt to do that we don't want them to do, because we don't understand why. 43 is vital. 49 is vital. 48 is vital. All lines, 41. And right now, the 41, they're always out of service, or there's 3 buses that follows behind one another. It's such a delay and it's so unorganized. I don't know what's happening there. So, perhaps we can You know, not perhaps, it would be great if we could get DOT to explain that, if you could, please. Thank you. Or is that the MTA?
I believe you can tell them both.
Well, you know what? I'm glad Felice asked that question because I looked at the minutes and I thought that was a mistake because we had down that this issue would be something we raised with DOT, and DOT is not responsible for the bus redesign. That is definitely MTA New York City Transit.
Okay,
I mean,
good.
they came out and spoke to us last year, right? We had meetings with MTA transit officials.
Yes, that's right.
Not DOT. And you should confirm that because if we don't, you know, we're wasting time having a DOT come out to speak about that and only to tell us that's not us. So
Agreed. Agreed. Okay, well, Felice, I'll work with the district office and come back to you on this one, and we'll get either some specific plans on this that we can discuss and vote on next meeting and move this one forward.
Okay, thank you. Am I speaking out of term if I mention to have a stop? I don't know what's going on with Montgomery and Washington, where I was mentioning how Dante was successful in getting a response to get something done for Washington Avenue, the speeding and the accidents that's reoccurring on that strip. Am I speaking out of term, or, you know, let me know when we can speak on that.
Okay. Andrew, feel free to proceed and we can probably quickly tackle Felice's concern after.
No, I don't want to speak out of turn. What I meant last week, and maybe I didn't get a chance to fully explain this, was that I totally agree with Felice that, like, when I see 3 buses in a row, you know, that drives me crazy because then I miss one and for 45 minutes. I don't think the MTA is controlling how far apart they're spaced. I think DOT has a responsibility to make sure the bus lanes are clear, especially if they're going to redesign our area with like major bus routes. They should be protected and they should make sure that, like, even on the weekends, you know, like, you can still ride the bus without getting stuck in private cars just parked on the side of the road or triple parked or whatever. That's a DOT concern. I realize, in addition to MTA, correct?
Yeah, I believe that is a DOT concern. Yeah, optimizing road conditions is DOT, but controlling the bus lines and how they function, that's MTA, and that's NYC Transit. Okay. Yeah, we'll note that for when we get into this more. But Felice, you're concerned about the Washington Avenue? You can continue and go on that.
Yes, I was asking if we can, and this has been on the table for some years now. We can attest, is Valerie Jeffrey, for those, I think Nikolai, she was there as well, that I've been asking to get a stop sign or light or speed camera, something that will slow, you know, cars down, but not a speed bump. A speed bump will prevent the bus from running that line, because I spoke to Tish James and she says I can't do that one. All right, so can we please get some sort of speed speedometer or something that will slow these people down, because they've already had several accidents. And someone did get killed. My girlfriend's daughter got ran over, her hip was broken, and we had a few accidents from the workers that work in the botanical garden. So we need some resolution, and I mean, like, we're overdue to have the camera in the down in the direction of Sullivan. We didn't ask for that because the stoplight is right there. We asked for it to be on the corner where we're running to get the bus. We have to cross over to get the bus, but before we do, there's cars turning in both directions into Montgomery. It prevents us from going across the street. We need something there, desperately. So what can we do?
Oh yeah, Mia, go ahead.
Hey, Ethan, if I can chime in really quickly. This has been an ongoing conversation with the DOT. The Botanic Garden has been in conversation with our office and offered up any letter of support for any traffic calming measure at this specific intersection, as they've been advocating for themselves as well, just for the safety of their own workers and the larger community. And DOT has been giving us nothing but pushback in the same dated responses that there are cameras on the avenue, but of course those cameras are closer to the high schools further up the avenue, which does nothing for the immediate community around that intersection. So this is an ongoing conversation, and we're trying to get something out of DOT because essentially Botanic Garden has stepped up and has been willing to provide any measure of support, whether it be written or testimony or whatever it would take to get some type of calming measure there at that intersection, but to no avail thus far from DOT.
Mia, do we have anything at our disposal that we could do to maybe either move this along or just reassert?
Literally, we have
this?
filed for the request ourselves. We've had constituents file the request. The Botanic Garden has filed their own individual request for a traffic study for this specific intersection, noting the multiple accidents, near misses, and employee injuries for people traversing this specific area, and DOT has not been willing to budge. We've even asked, what's the status of this Washington Avenue traffic study and assessment of the initial camera that's right past Sullivan, and nothing. There's been no update. The members are well aware that Diana Soriano and other members of the DOT showed up last year about Washington Avenue and perhaps reassessing the traffic from Eastern Parkway to Empire and making it a more safe conduit, and nothing. We've received no update. And this is an ongoing conversation. So we're well aware, Felice, this conversation is ongoing, and literally we have not have any update from Diana Soriano nor Commissioner Bray at this point, but it's an ongoing conversation and we've been pushing for something at this intersection.
One more quick reply to you, Mia. Do you think it would help? Do you think it would help if we get an elected official on this too?
Yes, we've been advocating for this from when Lori Cumbo was CM for the area, and we brought this matter to Councilmember Hudson's attention, and maybe this is something we need to revisit now that she's back from maternity leave to see if we can get an additional push here, because it's not just the community board, it's not just the members. You have the Botanic Garden saying they don't even feel like their employees are safe walking back and forth to the store to perhaps grab lunch in the area, because that specific intersection is so dangerous at times.
Right, I'm working with Ephraim on this, so I appreciate what you're doing. But
has been great and willing to provide the board and the DOT whatever and DOT will not budge.
But can I add that we have, but the Botanical Gardens have events, and they are faced with the same dilemma.
Sure thing.
They can't even cross the street.
Like in between. Yes, and it's a large safety issue for the community.
Okay, it's like we have some action items here to take care of.
Definitely. Ethan, we should definitely connect online and perhaps schedule something with Councilmember Hudson's office and bring you on board into a meeting, and perhaps pull in Ethan from Botanic Garden to bring this back on their radar now that she's back active in the office, to see if we can make some headway.
All right, yeah, let's do that. Valerie, your hand's been raised for a little while. Feel free to go ahead.
Hi, I'm just following up on some other items that I've been following up for like maybe a year. One, the bike racks at Major Owens. We have a lot of parents and a lot of individuals that come to our center. As you know, I work at the Major Owens Center. I'm the community outreach coordinator, and we're just trying to have proper bike racks so that the parents and the individuals that come by with the scooters have a decent place that they can park their bikes, that they can hook up their scooters. Because what happens is the street is so narrow right there, that sidewalk is so narrow when you're coming up Bedford Avenue, that it's kind of tight when the individuals are parking their bicycles. So I'm still advocating for some type of bike racks there. And we've asked for a study and it hasn't happened. So I'm just trying to follow up once again on the bike racks at Major Owens. And two, subsequent to the last meeting we've had another car accident on Rogers Avenue and Crown Street. This one was in the morning around 2:30. Apparently the person was coming up the street. I'm not sure whether they were inebriated or whatever the case may be, but they had a major incident coming up Rogers Avenue, and the car spun around in the street and hit the light pole. And apparently one of the passengers in the car had some kind of injury to their eye. They had to rush them with the ambulance. So there's something going on when you're coming up Rogers Avenue. And if you go back, we've had within maybe the last 6 months, like, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 accidents right at the same corner. So I'm not sure what's happening over there, what is the condition of the people that are driving the vehicles at that point. But I'm wondering if there's some calming things that we can do. Because I noticed that on, I want to say Albany Avenue, I believe it's Albany Avenue, when you're coming down the street near, I don't know if it's Crown or Montgomery, they got like a speed hump or something there. Not to say that that's going to stop the people from speeding, but I do know that there's one of the few major streets that they got like a little hump there that, you know, causes you to slow down a little bit. So I'm just trying to see if we can get like maybe a traffic study to find out what it is that people want to speed there. And there's an accident there. And I think it was right after they had the shooting at the Major Owens that a car flipped on the corner of, what was it, President and Rogers Avenue. So there's been a lot of little things going on that Rogers Avenue corridor. So those are the 2 items, the bike racks for Major Owens, and 2, if we can get some kind of traffic study to see what kind of calming efforts that could happen over there. Thank you.
Mia, I've heard the bike rack issue before. Is this an existing item that?
Yes, it is. The last contact that we've had with Diana Soriano in regard to this matter was that the location was considered for installation, and then that was it. Essentially, she kept returning the same response, that the location was noted and considered for installation, with no prospective date of installation to date.
Okay.
So essentially, a lot of the answers lie with the borough office, where they need to make the determination and just let us know what, if it's going to go or not.
Okay.
And
I'll follow up with you on this one, see how we can move that up.
definitely. And Valerie, thank you so much for bringing that to our attention. Maybe it's a timing study for the lights, because essentially, if any driver knows, if you can time the lights coming up Rogers Avenue, you can make it in a straight shot if you're speeding. Because I've seen people, they can make it from Clarkson all the way up to East Empire speeding. And assuming if you keep going up the hill with momentum in light traffic, you can make it up to Eastern Parkway in a light. So maybe the timing needs to be reassessed.
And possibly because apparently some individuals were walking down the street, because I actually went outside. This is like 2:30 in the morning. I actually went outside. Well, actually, I just turned up the television and I heard the sound, and it was like a couple of things. And so
definitely at those times of the night where there is little to no traffic and you give people open space, they're going to take it and go for it.
And so apparently that's what they did. And the guy hit a van and bounced off the van. And the individuals in the street said the car just spun around. And I want to say the traffic light was what stopped them. And the car was like demolished. I mean, it was totally demolished.
We can put that request in for the assessment of the timing for the signals on Rogers Avenue, and then return. We'll provide the committee, the work order number, and then we'll track it from there out. Ethan will pull you in and provide you the information as well, so that you can just continue to follow with the committee moving forward.
Thank you.
I appreciate it because a lot is happening over there on that corner. And also, and then they
Hold on a second, it's about 9:30.
Okay, 9:30. Uh-oh, you're supposed to be doing a little bit more time management now. We've never been on the meeting till 9:30, so I'm just throwing it out
Right.
there. Happy to have you
It
as
was
our
10,
chair,
it was
though.
10 minutes time. It was
Very
after
quick,
the
before
so we're
we
trying to.
move on. Anyone with any other questions or recommendations or whatever it is, just feel free to forward it to the borough office email so that we can forward it, deal with it, sort it out, figure out where it should go, and rope Ethan in so that we're not going through these smaller issues in the midst of the meeting.
And more than once.
Thank you.
Yeah. Always good to hear him. Parker, your hand's been raised for a while. Feel free to proceed.
Yeah, I wanted to follow up on, I think, all of the things recently said. One, I guess, Mia, maybe you'll remember, or maybe Jeff or Felice, but I could have swore, I agree, Washington and Montgomery is an issue. I could have swore that there was a proposal for a neck down there many years ago, and it was shot down because of concern about the turning radius for fire trucks or something. But wasn't there some proposal for some sort of traffic calming?
There was definitely a traffic calming proposal that was coming down for Washington Avenue that originated around the time of Cumbo. We actually asked DOT, what's the status of that? Because initially DOT was supposed to reach out to the principals of the high schools because they were supposed to change that whole left turn that you can go across and go back up Classen. Not crickets to date.
Well, no, but that's the one up by Classen. I think the one.
Yeah, no, like a full assessment, because they were supposed to provide us a full update of any prospective measures to be implemented from that Eastern Parkway to Empire corridor, and literally return us crickets.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, that is very frustrating. And I would agree the there's so many it's hard to cross a lot of Washington. So I certainly support any kind of traffic calming there. For the bike racks that Valerie has mentioned, and I know Valerie has been mentioning that for many years now. I don't know what other measure we take, but DOT is just bullshitting us on it. They have put in new, they said it was a supply chain issue, which I believed, but I've recently seen photos of new bike racks that have gone in other parts of the city. So they're just lying. Well, if that's still the concern, if that's still the answer, then they're lying to us. If Diana and her colleagues are just not replying to us, I guess that's a separate issue. But I don't think we as a committee should take the supply chain issue as believable anymore, because I have been seeing other people posting photos of, hey, DOT just put in brand new bike racks, exactly what I assume, Valerie, you're looking for. So
understood. We're definitely willing to circle back, and you got my vote on that DOT response.
Yeah. And then
thank you for your support, Paco.
Yes, thank you. And then
yeah, you can't have those things and then they appear in other spaces.
Yeah,
and we have
one quick question.
The final thing I'd like to say on Rogers Avenue. I live just off Rogers. I use Rogers every day to bring my youngest daughter to school. I talk to many parents in the neighborhood. I know you're talking about a crash at 2:30 in the morning. I will tell you, between 8 and 9 a.m., there are 100 parents that are terrified walking on Rogers with their kids. So it's not just a late at night issue. It is, if it's a signal timing thing, I think it's a width of the street issue as well. It's tough because of the bus lane. But Rogers is dangerous, and I wanted to bring everyone's attention to it if they didn't already know. Just a few days ago, I actually saw Rita Joseph at the PLG Arts Festival. We were sitting at an art space on Rogers and Fenimore, talking about how dangerous Rogers is. And then 2 days later, a man from our neighborhood was killed riding his bicycle on Rogers and Clarkson. Emmanuel Patterson was 56 years old, lived in the neighborhood, I think, all his life. He worked for the Parks Department. He apparently was, I just read the Daily News article about it, he was going to bring extra clothes to a homeless woman sleeping in Wingate Park. He was definitely a person of the community, doing good with the community, and he was run down. I think he was even at a red light on his bicycle, and a car on Rogers, or a car from Clarkson, just turned right onto Rogers, trying to speed up Rogers, and killed him. So I think there's, as a I mean, I drive, walk and bike here, but, and ride the bus here, but every time I'm riding my bike, I know I definitely feel endangered. And to me, it's scary knowing I was at that corner with my 2-year-old still on the back of my bike, maybe a half hour before he was killed, right on Rogers, like a block away from there. So I very much am looking for this committee to take some sort of action. I think, I mean, Ethan, you're newer to leading this committee, but under Carmen, under Fred, under, there's so many people we've had leading this committee and talking about street safety, but I feel like the committee has not yet had specific measures that DOT could take. So I would ask that maybe at our next meeting that we get very specific about changes that we want to see on the streets. That way we don't have another Manuel Patterson run down.
That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, we'll definitely do more of those specific actions and, push for clearer moves from DOT for sure.
Thank you.
Sarah, your hand's been up. You have the floor.
Oh, that gentleman that was killed, I think it was by a ox truck, not a car, which is what often kills bicyclists. And there was a protest tonight, but my question was just a quick thing. The bike rack, the city bike rack on Sullivan, just off Bedford, I sent some pictures to Felice today. It's really dirty and messy and garbage, it's plants, it's really a mess. Who's supposed to clean that? Like, and how do we get a city bike rack put back? Like, they took away the one behind McDonald's. I'd like to see that one back. And the one that's near where the construction is should be fixed or replaced. It's a really bad mess. So how would we take care of that?
Ms. Westerdahl, I think you can send that inquiry to the office, because we can just reach out to DOT and figure out, and DDC, once all of the construction is 100% complete, if the original installations will be put back into place.
Okay.
Yeah, you can reach out to me in the office. Just I'll be there from about 8. Just shoot me a quick email and I'll do the follow-up for you. Thank you.
All right, I'll send the email now.
My bad. So far, I think we've actually covered the agenda today. We've covered bike rides, we've covered car share, we've covered generally what was on the agenda. And at this point, I think I could move to adjourn this meeting. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Comments.
I second it.
I have a hand from Zach real quick before we finish this.
Yeah, real
Zach?
quick. Last meeting, somebody asked to get data on City Bike rack usage. I did collate that data and I created a spreadsheet. I didn't know how to get it out to everybody, so I sent it to Paco, who I happen to have his email address. I don't know if he can get that out, but I know people were interested in it, so I did that work. And perhaps in the future, we can use it to make informed decisions about asking people I know wanted to get them removed or relocated or whatever. So having the information about how much they're being used hopefully is helpful. They have not published September's yet. I don't know why. It seems very overdue, but I have like 12 months of data from August backwards. So just wanted to follow up on that.
Also to reply to you, Zach, I actually got I got some access to a website that maps out the usage by day, including today's and yesterday's data by location. We got a map of the whole city bike, location set, and see which ones have been used the most and which ones are languishing and in underuse. And it's in real time. And I when we do tackle city bikes, I plan to also use that, but thank you very much for your data there. That's what I was aiming for too. That's great. So just wanted to let y'all know that we have some of that data at our fingertips here. I think I sent it to the board office so they could make it available for the whole committee. But Paco, your comment.
I was going to say, just before the meeting, I emailed the spreadsheet Zach is referring to. I sent it to you and to the board office as well. His is specific to just CB9. So it's all stations we would, or at least corners we would all know, versus the one that's just for the full city.
Okay, fair. And I mean, personally, perhaps we could take a similar approach with the car share so that it's not, so people don't feel overwhelmed, but they still have a good symbiosis of different transport methods, you know, because of course, I don't think people are vehemently against city bikes as an option. They just don't want them to, like, I guess, you know, kind of cannibalize other transport modes, like parking availability and that kind of stuff. But either way, we do want to make these decisions based on data and based on usage. So if they're a hit, they're a hit. You know, we want to at least make sure that they can all coexist peacefully. So yeah, apart from that, voting to adjourn. I think we have a second. Please, anyone else willing to vote to adjourn?
I'm sorry, we're voting?
Yeah, we're voting to adjourn.
Oh, yes, I vote to adjourn. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night, folks. Looks like we're all good.
Thank you,
All right.
everyone. Take care and have a
Right,
good evening.
everybody.
Good night. Thank you.